Listen, I am normally not one for sports. I played one sport in high school, and I don't even like watching that one sport. So, I mean, I don't know if you could tell that from the everything about me. But yeah, here we go. If you are new here to my channel, hi, what's up? I'm Emily. I make writing and bookish content here on YouTube. If you are a returning viewer, hi, it's great to see you again. Thanks for coming back. Today we are talking about something that happened last year, 2 years ago. I don't even know what year it is anymore. It happened over on Booktok, and there have been some videos about it, but I haven't talked about it. I only recently learned about this. So I thought, what a great conversation piece this could be. Let's talk about it. So here we are. If you don't know already, there is a corner of Booktok that loves sports books. So these are romance books that revolve around characters who play a certain sport, or yeah, they play a sport. The sport is a central part of the story. This did kind of get out of control when people started face claiming people, real athletes, on the internet as these characters and began sexually harassing them. What am I talking about exactly? I'm glad you asked. So, back in 2023, there was a popular hockey book series by Emily Rath. This is called the Jacksonville Rays Hockey Books, hockey series. And these books titles, which just crack me up, are Pucking Around, Pucking Wild. These books are very spicy and were very popular among the sporty Booktok community. And so I feel like, I mean, I haven't read these books, so okay, don't come after me, but it feels like these are kind of like sort of in the same vein as like icebreakers, so like hockey romances. I am not really here to comment on the quality or content of these books. That's not really an issue here, but it's Booktok. They've got tropes, smut, spice, all of that stuff, all that good stuff. And this love for these sport books have actually then crossed over into the realm excuse me, where people have become fans of this sport because they love the book so much. So, after the huge success of these books, hockey teams kind of jumped on this idea, this trend, and started posting their players in TikToks with like the hashtag BookTok. And one of them, the team being the Seattle Krakens, posted a video of one player, Alex Wennerberg. I think that's how you say his name. I'm so sorry. He is a Swedish hockey player. And they had it with the caption, "What is Booktok and why do they love Wenny so much?" Which, by the way, Wenny is an adorable nickname for Wennerberg. I think that's awesome. I'm sure other players became really popular on Booktok through this as well. I was not around for this hype, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to be that a lot of the hype surrounded this one athlete, Alex. And from what I understand, the Krakens were eating it up. This was great publicity for them. They were getting fans left and right. Everyone was talking about them. Their views were up. They were going viral. I'm sure it feels good when you've got people hyping you up constantly. They also put in their bio mostly Booktok. So, I mean, they really were feeding into this idea of Booktok and kind of branding themselves alongside it. One Booktok influencer with over 1 million followers, her name is Kierra, was one of the most popular Booktok influencers during this time. She is known for reading a lot of sportsy, smutty romances. So, like, this was her genre. This was her niche. In May of 2023, the Krakens actually invited her to one of their, I think it was like the semi playoffs or something. Again, I don't know how sports work, so like, don't come after me. But they invited her to the game and they actually gifted her with a Krakens jersey that said Booktok on the back of it. And she held up a sign saying, "Crack my back" at the game, which interesting choice. And during this time, this video was posted.
It's warm-up time. Let's fucking go! Ah! They doing it! They doing it! Winner! 21. Can you do something? Oh, yes, you can do something for me. The pictures don't do Winner justice. This boy's a fucking Ken doll. Shame away. What's wrong with you? Damn, I'm trying to be in between the legs. Or in between my legs. I'm about to give this a fucking attention, man. Yeah, I like that. Get it. Yes, Turbo! Oh my God, it's like heaven. They're all on their knees right now. I fucking love it. Baby, my kitty not used to being around this many fine men, man.
make one caveat here. I know for a fact that Kiera was not the only one making comments about these players or posting about them or shouting vulgar things. It's not, this isn't on her. However, she does have a platform, and by far and large, one of the larger platforms on Booktok, specifically within this niche. But she is an important player in the way that this story kind of unfolds, which is why I will be talking about her. I do want to say one thing about this video is that hockey players and athletes, when you're a professional player, this is their job. This is what they do. They're warming up to do their job. So they're not there. I mean, I'm sure they find it fun. That's why they play the sport. But their mind isn't there because of the audience necessarily. Like, they want to win the game. They want to go to the next round so that they can win the championship and like make money or whatever. And she is very clearly up against the glass near the hockey rink, and they can definitely hear her shouting these very explicit sexual things at them and basically viewing them as nothing more than objects that have like come to life out of these books. And I mean, I don't think any of them really gave her a reaction to like what she was saying, which like good for them, because if someone was saying that stuff to me and I was trying to like play a sport or do something, do anything, and someone was shouting those things at me, I would probably react really poorly or just feel really uncomfortable. And the comment section in this video is wild, honestly. But there were a lot of people pointing out like, hey, they can hear you. You're literally screaming at them from the side of the rink, like they're hello. And a lot of her responses, they kind of were more like, are you enjoying this content? Are you eating it up? Aren't you enjoying it? It's funny. It's just a joke. Oops, I thought I was still at home. Like these kinds of things, it's coming off as like really unaware, and kind of in a way where like a lot of people who criticize influencers for the way that they act in the real world is a lot to do with kind of how she's responding right now. Like she's saying the things that everyone is like, okay, this is what people mean when they say influencers are out of touch, because it's like their world and we're all just supposed to live in it, and they're making content in public, filming other people in public. It's just it's not a super great look, I guess. And I think it's fair to say that these comments made toward any person ever is just not really okay. If you were on the street and you were to say this about someone else, like it would never be deemed appropriate at any time. People would say that you were sexually harassing people on the street. They would call the police on you. Do you know what I mean? If this was women's soccer or gymnastics and there was a man, a sexual innuendo of a sign shouting these kinds of vulgar, sexual lines towards them, like there would be consequences. And just in my opinion, these kinds of comments just really shouldn't occur towards people, especially when they're like ever, but like these people are also like at work. It's odd. And like just because they're athletes and on television and like public figures, it doesn't make it more okay. Do you know what I mean? Like they're still people. And like nowhere in their contracts does it say like they have to be okay with people sexually harassing them verbally while they're at work. It's yeah. And keep in mind, at this time, the marketing and PR team for this hockey team is like super into it. They want Booktok to like promote their stuff. Like this is like the most popular the team's probably ever been. I mean, I don't know. I feel like in sports, women in particular are like an untapped market. I mean, we see the same thing with like the whole Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey thing. Like when they started dating, women flocked to the NFL. It was like one of the most viewed Super Bowls. View ratings were up, commissions and jersey sales were up. This was on a smaller scale, but a similar thing was occurring at this time. And so for them, it was really good because they were getting money and people were watching the games. And this whole time, the team and the marketing is like feeding into it. They're doing like slow-mo thirst traps of their players and just really feeding into the whole thing. I'm sure some of the players were maybe into it at the time, but I think the whole idea like rubs me the wrong way, because like if your boss was telling you that you needed to make a thirst trap for their page, for me, that would totally rub me the wrong way. I'd be like, why do you need to use me as an object to get views on your content for you? Like, these people are here to play hockey, not to like be thirst traps on the internet. So I think that's just like a really weird look to me. And it's yeah, it's like coming from the company, right? Like the team. It's not necessarily coming from the players. I mean, maybe it was. I don't know. Again, I wasn't there, so like correct me if I'm wrong. So then after this game that Kierra attended, things kind of died down because they ended up losing the game and therefore not making it to the next round of the playoffs. So for their team, the season ended. And so things for the team overall slowed down. However, things did not slow down for Alex Winenberg or his family. And if you remember, he was the one that like Booktok really clung to. He was like one of the most popular players looks wise that people were really into. And during this whole time, Alex and his family were receiving sexually explicit DMs, lots of comments of inappropriate things on their videos, these kinds of things. And even on photos of like him with his wife and their son. And after all of this, Alex's wife, I think her name is Felicia. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but she ended up making a statement and she ended up using Kierra's name in the post. And that did not go over well. Because people then immediately started sending Kierra a bunch of hate on the internet.
And that's my biggest issue. Like, the reason why Booktok even was aware of the Krakens, or hell, half these hockey teams, is when they started doing all the slow mos. Hey, Booktok, look at us, look at us. And the reason why I was even flown out was because of the vlogs of the Seattle Kraken game. The Alex Winberg video that fucking went viral. So it wasn't like, oh, Kierra was the only one person doing this and nobody was aware. Everybody was, oh, crack my back, crack my back. This is hilarious, hilarious. And now even the wife even said on her social media, I was doing it too, but now, oh, I've just had to change your heart. Okay, so why don't you come after every single person? Why would you literally just put my name on it?
And I do think it's fair to say that like Kierra wasn't the only one making these kinds of videos and this kind of content, but she was the one at that game who was posting that video for her million followers. I don't necessarily think it was right for her to just be singled out as the only one doing it. However, I can understand how maybe from the wife's point of view, she was the main perpetrator because her platform is so large. I'm not really sure. And I do think Kierra has a good point. Like, she wasn't the only one posting this content. The people were loving the content. And as a content creator, it is her job to create entertaining content for people to watch. And you can't really lay the blame on one singular person, especially with how much the team was feeding into the whole Booktok craze. That all being said, I do think it's important to remember that when you do have a platform that large of over 1 million followers, the kinds of content and videos that you're making, even if it's just for entertainment, you do have a large effect on those people, a larger effect than someone who has only 100 followers or even 1,000. Because it's literally called influencer. You influence the people around you. And if people think that what you're doing is okay and appropriate, what's to stop others from doing it and taking it further and further and further? And I do think it's a little bit odd that after everything the team did to like promote Kierra and to like not use her, but to like have her kind of be the face of this, give her the Book Talk jersey, they kind of just like unfollowed her and left. That also rubs me really the wrong way. I feel like at least she was owed some sort of explanation, some sort of email, something. Maybe they did do that. I'm not really sure. I think Kierra did reach out to Felicia and was like, hey, not cool. And then she never got a response. Also, not great. Like, I feel like a lot of like little mistakes are kind of piling up here from everyone. And I can definitely see how all of this would leave Kierra feeling really dejected and confused about the whole thing, especially when maybe in her mind as a content creator, she was providing the content that they were asking her to. But again, if the content you're creating is sexually harassing people on the internet for views and entertainment, maybe not the best content to be creating. I'd like to think that the team's silence was like in solidarity with the family and that they were standing by their players. And if that's the case, okay, I definitely get it because they're the victims in that situation, you definitely want to stand with your player. You know, like he works for them, he's their employee. And at the time, people also were making comments about how Felicia and Alex were at first feeding into this whole idea of him being like sexy and desirable. That I think she's quoted saying he was a panty dropper, like these kinds of comments, and how at the time they were really, really into it because he was so popular. And now, like, how can she just say, like, you guys are inappropriate, back off? But it's like, they can say that. It's them, it's about them. The minute that someone is uncomfortable with what you're doing to them, they get to say stop. They get to say no. That's how consent works. I know that's not how the internet thinks it works, but that's how it works. After all this, the team very quickly took all of the videos off TikTok. You can't find them there anymore. They don't exist. I mean, I'm sure people have saved them somewhere, but I'm not going to go scour the internet looking for them. And then Alex did make a statement supporting his wife after all of this happened. And they did point out that, if it was the other way around and it was a bunch of women athletes who were being sexually harassed on the internet, this would have been dealt with way differently, way sooner. And I tend to agree with that because it kind of reminds me of the whole thing with the Pedro Pascal thirst trap because, like, at first it was just like a fun video and Pedro Pascal kind of like leaned into it and said it was funny. He liked being called daddy, stuff like that. But then it kind of just kept escalating and escalating. And then he didn't like it anymore. And he didn't want people to only refer to him that way. People stopped viewing him as an actor or like a person. And they just kind of started calling him daddy and saw him in this one particular way. And as humans, we're all multifaceted. We all have, different parts of us. And being reduced to just a sexual object for anyone is not okay. So, what can we take away from this other than the fact that the internet is a cesspool where logic and reasoning goes to die? I think it's a good reminder that everyone is human and that we're all people, male, female, athlete, whatever, you know, we're all people and we deserve to be treated with respect. And the minute that someone is like, hey, this joke has gone too far, I've had enough of this, is the moment when everyone should say, oh, okay, well, stop. You can find people attractive on the internet. It's one thing if you keep it to yourself and you're like, I'm going to headcanon that that's what this person looks like in my mind. You can do that. But the minute that you kind of start taking that person and projecting yourself onto them and seeing them only as this like version in your head, that's when things kind of get a little muddy and like weird, I think. Like, why are you sending weird explicit DMs to this guy with a wife and family? Oh yeah, and that was like the whole other thing. There was like comments on this video that was saying that like the only reason he came out in support of what his wife had said was because people thought he got caught cheating. Like, where is the logic in that? Where is the logic in that statement? Like, can't this guy want to just support his wife? Do we really think that the only reason a guy would support a statement that is objectively true would be that she then received a ton of hate for and then come out in support of her? Why would the only reason be because he was definitely caught cheating and she was mad about it? Like, the internet truly is a remarkable place. And like, yet again, it's like villainizing the wife and the woman in this relationship over what? Because they said that they don't want you to fantasize about her husband anymore and send these like creepy DMs when you don't know them, you've never met them, you don't know what they're like. I just find it really interesting that like that is where the internet went immediately when they were called out for being weird and harassing people on the internet, that they immediately were like, it's the wife, something happened and she's so mad, she's crazy. Like, what is that? I get that social media is supposed to be a form of entertainment. It's not real. None of it is real. The little bit that you see on the internet, that is not the person who is like, the little bit that you see me on camera, this is like not who I am all the time. I mean, I feel like I present myself pretty similarly to how I am in real life, but like, you don't know what my life is like. And in the same way, like, if you see an athlete or anyone else on the internet for that matter, like, you're only seeing those bits and pieces of their life. And they have a whole life, thoughts, feelings, hobbies, whatever outside of it. But this whole thing was just really messy and rubbed me the complete wrong way. And I know that like when people are making these funny, entertaining videos, like in Kierra's video, for example, like her language was probably somewhat exaggerated because it's funnier, it's more engaging. People are going to want to keep watching it because it's so entertaining to watch. But like, is that a good enough excuse to do it? I don't know. And if it is a joke, it feels kind of like a lot of the people on the team and everything else weren't really let in on it. Like, at the end of the day, the only people who were getting anything out of the relationship was Kierra with the engagement and potential followers that were like finding her account because of all of it, and then the team because they were selling money and jerseys and stuff like that. Like, they were the only people who were really benefiting from it. Kind of feels like the players were just like pawns in the whole situation. I don't even know if I have anything more to say on this. I feel like I feel like everything else has already been said. Like, just be nice to people on the internet that you don't know, strangers that you don't know in general. And when you take something too far, just apologize. Don't get defensive. I feel like everyone runs to be like, well, it wasn't me. It was their fault. I was just doing this, blah, 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 blah. Like, just own up to it. Say you're sorry. Be the bigger person, and then you move on. You do better. And I hope we all learned a valuable lesson. Don't watch sports. That was a joke. I'm sorry. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give me a like and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all of my upcoming writing and bookish content. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.